voice for everyone. KSHB 41 News starts right now.
More local kids heading back to class this morning, with Kansas City Public Schools being one of the biggest districts going back. We're hearing about their efforts to be more inclusive this year.
Really working on kindness this year and just spreading kindness through the building.
And we're also going over how some local districts are addressing busing and scheduling challenges.
All that coming up, but first this morning, KCPD now investigating the city's 128th homicide of 2023.
This puts us ahead of where we were at this date during the deadliest year on Kansas City record, 2020. Police say this happened at a laundromat off Eastwood Traffic Way and Bristol Avenue around 1:30 this morning. They say they found a man laying in the parking lot who had been shot. Officers say he died there, and they're still looking for a suspect. But if you have any information, they want you to call the TIPS hotline. It's 816-474-TIPS, and you can stay anonymous.
Going to be another very hot day in Kansas City. Going to be high humidity along with it. If you step outside this morning, it is already extremely muggy this morning. We're talking about dangerous temperatures.
Incredibly dangerous. If you know somebody who needs a place to escape these conditions, you can take advantage of the cooling centers that are open across Kansas City. The Missouri Department of Health and Senior Services has this map that shows all the available locations, every red dot that you see there, and when they open. Some of them have different hours. We have a link to this map on the web link section of KSHB.com. But let's get to meteorologist Jeff Penner with a check of the weather. I mean, we were the hottest place in the country at some points over the weekend, right?
Yeah, Manhattan, Kansas, actual temperature 115 on Saturday.
Yeah. Gosh.
And the humidity was lower there, but where we haven't been 100 degrees.
All right, Jeff, thank you. 5:02 this morning. A lot of local kids waking up this morning for their first day of the new school year. Happy first day. Let's run through some of the big ones. Belton goes back today, as does Center School District. They've got a half day. Grandview and Genesis going back to school, as well as Harrisonville, kindergarten through second grade. Sixth graders and freshmen have their first day for the Hickman Mills School District, Independence School District, and Kansas City Public Schools also go back today.
But as those students return to the classroom, a bus driver shortage is affecting multiple districts in our area, including Kansas City Public Schools. We learned over the weekend, due to a shortage, some parents have been notified their kids do not have a ride to school today, or they'll have one, but it'll be delayed. A spokesperson told us in a statement over the weekend the district is working with its transportation vendor, STA, hoping to hire enough drivers until all eligible students have reliable transportation to and from school. The school district statement goes on to read in parts, at KCPS, we understand the inconvenience this shortage may pose to our families and students. Those directly affected have been notified with the most up-to-date information available. The district couldn't give us a specific number of students that this impacts today. Now, throughout the summer, KCPS has also been working on promoting diversity within their classrooms.
That's because KCPS has one of the most diverse student bodies in all of Kansas City. More than 75% are minority students. 25% of those students identify as English language learners. KSHB 41 News reporter Daniela Leon is live at Central High School. Daniela, you talked to the kindergarten teacher about how she's incorporating more diversity into her lesson plans. What did she tell you?
Hey, good morning, Taylor and Lindsay. Well, I'm currently outside Central High School this morning. The school bell will be ringing in just a couple of hours. But meanwhile, this summer, teachers have been focusing in promoting diversity within their classroom. Take a look at your screen. I caught up with an elementary school teacher earlier last week, and she works at the following classroom. She works at, as you can see here, they're really focusing on getting back into the classroom, getting ready, and the district has currently a department specific to language services and cultural equity, opening the doors for programs like English learner identification, migrant education programs. CLO biliteracy teachers are also working on celebrating diversity on a routine basis, and here's how they're doing it at Wendell Phillips.
We really focus on the diversity. Like I'm going to do Talk About It Tuesday. I'm going to have students talk about their culture, teach different words in different languages. We have books that have books of girls of color. We've got Black and Latino boy books. We're just trying to make them feel welcome in all areas.
And in addition to this, the district is also teaming up with programs like Teachers Like Me that help promote Black educators within the Kansas City school system. We'll have more on that coming up in just a couple of minutes. Reporting in Kansas City, Missouri, Danielle Leon, KSHB 41 News. Back to you guys.
Danielle, a pretty busy day for KCPS. Even the Kansas City Chiefs going to be there to help them get the kids back to school, right?
Yeah, that is right. Around 6:45, the Chiefs cheerleaders will be out here along with Casey Wolf, and we'll be bringing you guys updates on that. And in addition to that, at Whittier Elementary, Casey Slugger will be there to welcome students back into the classroom. So it's going to be a packed day for KCPS.
All right, Daniela, thank you very much. And in Independence, the school district is moving to 4-day weeks this year. I reached out to the Missouri Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. They sent me the number of districts who have switched to a 4-day week since it's been available in Missouri starting in about 2010, when they said the law changed school calendar requirements to hours, not days. So look at this. 2013 to 2014 school year, 10 years ago, 10 districts were doing a 4-day week. Jump 5 years forward to the 2018 school year, 34 districts, and then last year, 144 districts moving to 4-day weeks. So I'm going to head out to Independence in about 25 minutes, being live inside William Chrisman High School for our 6 o'clock hour. I'm going to be talking to the superintendent, Dr. Hurl, as well as a teacher who's also a district parent about these 4-day weeks starting this year.
And to help welcome some local kids back to school, Kansas City Mayor Quinton Lucas will be stopping by a few elementaries this morning from 7:20 to 7:50. He'll be at Paseo Academy of Fine and Performing Arts. Then he'll go to Pitcher Elementary from 8:05 to 8:30. He'll finish up at Ingalls Elementary from 9 to 9:35. So if you're at any of those campuses, be sure and say hello to the mayor this morning.
A potential new jail in Jackson County could help with overcrowding. Why some are against it? We'll hear from them coming up at 5:10.
Plus at 5:21 this morning, our team received documents that explain the reason behind the raid at that local newspaper in Marion County, Kansas. More of those details coming up.
And everything you need to know ahead of President Biden, First Lady Jill Biden's arrival in Hawaii after awful wildfires, coming up at 5:18.
5:10 now on your Monday morning. Today, the Jackson County Legislature and KC City Council will hold a joint session to talk about the new county detention center.
They'll get an update on how construction is going, for example. So these are renderings of the new detention center. This will be built on land that used to be a mobile home park off I-70 and 40 highway. We've talked a lot about this. In an effort to be a voice for everyone, I want to bring you different perspectives on the need for a new jail. Some say it's necessary, while a group called Decarcerate KC is continuing to push for alternatives to incarceration.
What they're not comprehending is people need to know that they're responsible. And if you mess up, you commit a crime, or you do something wrong, you need to be held responsible.
Why not try something different? Why not actually listen to the people who've been impacted by this issue and lead from them, or allow them to lead?
So the presentation today is at 1 p.m. We'll let you know what comes out of that. Coming up at 5:18, President Biden is supposed to arrive in Hawaii later today to see the damage left behind from those deadly wildfires.
But a big question on this is still what caused these fires to start in the first place. We've got an update coming up in less than 10 minutes.
Third day of our heat wave, rolling along at 95 degrees, but with extreme humidity, going to make the heat index 115 to 125. We need a cold front. All the new data coming up.
Also this morning at 5:23, a local laundromat giving free laundry services today. We hear from longtime customers about how this makes an impact in their community. Almost 5:15 now on your Monday morning. The entire Southern California region is under tropical storm watches and warnings for the first time ever as Tropical Storm Hillary hit the state last night. Take a look at this video from Palm Springs where a local state of emergency was declared because of unprecedented rainfall and flooding of local roadways. Authorities also urging people to stay home and avoid driving. And on top of all that, they're dealing with a 5.1 magnitude earthquake that hit Ventura County overnight. I saw this being talked about on social media from people I know in Southern California. Wild.
And you hear about 5.2. That seems pretty intense. I mean, do we know if there's a lot of damage in that?
They usually call it some minor damage, but because it's middle of the road. But yeah, I mean, that just unbelievable. And they had 2 to 6 inches of rain. We had that last Sunday, and it doesn't cause a problem when it rains on desert, floods very quickly, and so that's the problem. For us, it is the humidity because of the evaporation of all the rain that we had in July and August. And here is the latest on Hillary. It has moved away from Southern California. This was last night. It's now weakened, and it's just remnants at this point. But a lot of moisture still flowing in. All
right, Jeff, thank you. I-70 back open after a fatal crash overnight. Police say just after midnight, midnight, a car hit the barricade at I-70 just east of the 13th Street exit. We're told the car caught fire. One person died. A second person was able to get out. President Biden and the First Lady traveled to Maui today, nearly 2 weeks after the devastating wildfires began.
There are more than 100 people confirmed dead from those fires and hundreds more still missing.
NBC's Bree Jackson reports now from Washington.
As the death toll from the deadly wildfires in Maui rises, President Biden preparing to take on a now familiar role of consoler-in-chief when he travels to the island today to see the devastation.
But he's also going to be able to talk with people and hear their stories and provide a sense of hope and assurance that the federal government is going to be with them as he has directed.
The search to find and identify victims continues, as does the investigation into what caused the fires. The governor ordering a comprehensive review.
We will get to the bottom of exactly how the fire started, how our emergency procedures and protocols need to be strengthened, and how we can improve our defenses to protect us in the future.
In the meantime, survivors are grappling with grief.
I cannot do anything. We never saved nothing. Nothing at all.
Ahead of the president's trip, the Biden administration vowing that the federal government will be there to help the island rebuild for as long as it takes. Yet critics say it took too long for the president to publicly acknowledge the deadly fires. But aides say he has been working behind the scenes from the beginning. His visit is not being welcomed by some.
We don't need you. Don't come here. Stay out of our way. Get rid of the red tape.
An island facing a long road to recovery ahead. In Washington, Bree Jackson, NBC News.
And the aftermath of the wildfires has been difficult to witness for so many. Even right here in Kansas City, people are raising money to send to the island during this weekend's Ethnic Enrichment Festival. Booths for Samoa and Hawaii, both selling items to benefit recovery efforts. And volunteers at the Samoan booth say they want to do what they can.
Unfortunately, we can't help them physically while they're there, but this is something small that we can do.
Leaders from the Hawaiian booth told us that solidarity means the world, especially in times like this. Following up on this morning, one of our biggest stories from last week, our I-team has received 3 affidavits related to the raid on the Marion County Record.
They focus on the searches that happened at the owner of the paper's home, the home of Marion's vice mayor, and the paper itself. In the affidavit, Police Chief Gideon Cody accuses the Marion County Record of illegally obtaining a local restaurant owner's driving information. He listed the crimes as identity theft or unlawful use of a computer. The affidavit also accuses Phyllis Zorn, an employee of the paper, of downloading the information from a state website. Zorn did admit to doing this. The Department of Revenue record identified Zorn as the person who accessed the document, too.
IT reporter Jessica McMaster interviewed the attorney representing the paper. He says the police overreached the laws that protects the Marion County Record.
This may be the grossest violation of the right of free speech that I've ever seen. Not only did they decide to search a newsroom, they shut down a newsroom.
Jessica also talked briefly with Marion's police chief, and he told our I-team to contact the Kansas Bureau of Investigation, saying it was their case, but the paper's attorney disagrees.
Can he spell hypocrisy? This was his affidavit, his investigation, and his search.
So KBI is handling the investigation from this point. The other affidavits include reasons for searching Eric and Joanne Meyer's home and the city vice mayor's home as well. Our I-team is providing an in-depth look at each of those affidavits on KSHB.com right now.
And the paper's former co-owner, Joan Meyer, died the day after police searched her home. People in Marion gathered for her funeral over the weekend. Her son, Eric, the paper's current owner, says the search caused his mother a significant amount of stress. Joan worked at the newspaper for 50 years. She was 98 years old. Again, we have a lot more on this story from the beginning on our website. Just look for Jessica McMaster's full story at KSHB.com.
The city of Overland Park will be holding 2 public hearings for the 2024 budget. The first is the city's standard for its budget process, where OP residents can weigh in with their opinions on city spending. The second is on the city's intention to exceed the revenue neutral rate. The city wants to use the extra money to improve streets and stormwater systems. The public hearings start at 7:30 tonight at OP City Hall.
KSHB 41 is a voice for everyone, and this morning we want to highlight a local laundromat in KCK making a difference. We shared this story with you last week. We wanted to share it again because today Leah's Laundry is having their free laundry day. The owner of Leah's Laundry on the Q started this vision nearly 2 years ago. And so every third Monday of the month, families are able to bring their clothes and clean them for free through sponsors like COPE, a grant-funded organization. They partnered with the laundromat to make this possible. Supplies like detergent, dryer sheets, all provided. We talked to the organizers who told us they have seen the need for this.
There's so many different things about laundry that affect the community. So having clean clothes helps, again, bring dignity. It keeps kids from being bullied. It helps people with their health.
And right now we're going through a crisis with families, low income, and they need that support from our community. So we got to support our community any kind of way we can.
So if you know someone who gives this, Marlon was telling us that people come from across the state line on free laundry days. So take a look. Today's free community laundry day is from 3 to 6 p.m. There is a limit of 4 baskets of clothes per person. And as an added benefit today, families that go can get free backpacks with school supplies and hygiene kits inside. They've been giving back to community in other ways, too. For the last 5 years, they've had events like a Thanksgiving meal and coat drives for the community, something they hope to keep doing.
What incredible work that they're doing over there. All right, 5:25 this morning, KSHB 41, your home of the Chiefs. The team will be back at practice this afternoon after their win against the Cardinals on Saturday.
That's right. Before that practice, we'll hear from Coach Andy Reid and some players. And on Saturday, Patrick Mahomes taken out after the first quarter, but that didn't stop the team from running away with a 38-10 victory.
Rookie wide receiver Rashee Rice actually led the team in receiving yards. He did have a drop on the game's second play, but after that, he caught all 8 other targets that came his way, had 96 yards receiving. Here's what head coach Andy Reid had to say about Rice's performance.
You know, his number just got dialed up, and but he's a good football player, and really, you know, has had a nice camp for us, and then he returned punts too, and he gives you a lot of flexibility there. Yep.
So the Chiefs hosting the Browns this Saturday for their 3rd and final preseason game. You can see that right here on KSHB 41, your home of the Chiefs. Kickoff Saturday at noon. Our pregame show, we'll see you there, starts at 11.
Yeah, you and I think we'll be live out at the stadium.
There we go.
That is the plan on Saturday morning. Can't wait for that. Glad the weather's going to be a little bit cooler on Saturday. This morning, more students around the KC area headed back to school.
That's right, but some of those students won't have a bus to get on. Those details at 5:31.
It is the first day back to school for our Grandview students. And let me tell you, there are a lot of changes happening here within this district, including this new gym here at Martin City K8. And coming up, we'll be talking about all the changes that are going to be happening within this district. Stick with us.
A voice for everyone. You're watching KSHB 41 News.
Kids across the Kansas City area getting ready to head back to school this morning. We'll hear from a first-year teacher who says he's looking forward to inspiring his students.
I'm excited to teach learners that it is okay to have different cultures and to be yourself.
And we're bringing you back to school team coverage this morning with perspectives on how KCPS is promoting diversity on their campuses and how Grandview is making security upgrades, plus how districts are dealing with bus driver shortages. All of that coming up in this morning's coverage. But first, KCPD says they're investigating the city's latest homicide just west of 435 and Eastwood Trafficway around 1:30 this morning. They say they found a man who'd been shot lying in a laundromat parking lot. He died right there, and they're still looking for a suspect. If you have any information, you're asked to call the TIPS hotline, 816-474-TIPS. You will remain anonymous. All right, 5:30 this morning. We're, 80 degrees right now at 5:30 in the morning, Jeff? It's not getting any cooler. We're not getting any kind of relief from this awful heat when the sun goes down. It stays hot.
Yeah, well, because the humidity's so high, the temperature can't drop. The average low is 66, and it's 83 downtown, 81 at KCI. So, yeah, it's the heat and the humidity, especially right now. It is 83 downtown. The dew point is 80. When it gets to 80, it's basically out of control. It is extremely humid, and that makes the heat index 95 downtown, which means our bodies can't cool.
All right, Jeff, thank you very much. It is the first day of school for lots of students across our area, so let's run run through a list of some of the larger districts that are going back. Belton heads back to class today for their first day back at school. Center School District has a half day today, and Grandview, Harrisonville, and Genesis all head back to class today as well. In Hickman Mills, it's kindergarten through second grade, and sixth graders and freshmen with their first day. Independence School District as well heading back today, and Kansas City Public Schools also returning today. It is a long list of first day of school for all those students in Kansas City. But as those students go back to the classroom, a bus driver shortage is affecting several of our local districts, including KCPS. We learned over the weekend some students will not have bus service today as they go back to school. We don't know the exact number of kids affected, though. A spokesperson with the district told us in a statement over the weekend the district is working with its transportation vendor, STA, hoping to hire enough drivers until all eligible students have reliable transportation, but that's not going to happen today. The school district statement goes on to read in part, at KCPS we understand the inconvenience this shortage may pose to our families and students. Those directly affected have been notified with the most up-to-date information available. Now, another focus of KCPS this school year, once students actually make it to campus, is hiring teachers that look like the students they're teaching. KSHB 41 News reporter Daniela Leone talked to new teachers ahead of this school year, and she joins us now live for more of this coverage. Daniela, good morning. How do you promote diversity in a classroom setting?
Hey, good morning, Taylor. Well, according to KCPS, the most important thing that they want to give students is giving them the tools to succeed outside and within their classrooms. And one of the ways they're doing that is partnering with programs like Teachers Like Me. Take a look at your screen. Meet Tay Neal. He is part of the Teachers Like Me program and will be teaching at Wendell Phillips Elementary. Now, he grew up near Kansas City and told me he knows firsthand how hard it is for students to engage if they have an instructor who they can't connect with on a cultural level. He says his goal is to simply break that cycle and inspire students that look like him to be leaders in the classroom.
Yeah, so there definitely is going to be a supportive role element when it comes to just being a black male, because you have exposure to a role model. Now, I hate to say that I'm the perfect role model, but what I do have is I have experience. I've been in these kids' shoes.
And Teachers Like Me says data shows less than 2% of all teachers in the United States are black male teachers. Reporting outside Central High School, where the first day of school will be kicking off in just a couple of hours. We'll be bringing you more updates on that. But in the meantime, back to you, Taylor.
That experience he mentions will be so important for some of those students this school year. Daniela, thank you very much. Grandview also heading back to school today. So more live coverage coming up right now. Our Ray Daniel joins us live from inside the high school. Ray, good morning. Walk us through how a $45 million bond passed in 2021 by Grandview voters is going to impact the school year right now.
Yeah, Taylor, let's talk about it. You know, I got the backpack on, got the water bottle ready, just some of the essentials that students will be needing as they head into Grandview High School and, of course, the other schools within this district. We want to talk about that bond, though. This is the largest bond the district has had in its history. So every single student who is a part of the Grandview School District will see some sort of upgrade or change because of that bond. Now, I did get a sneak peek inside the high school. You know, they were wrapping up, just getting the cafeteria ready. This is a look at their new cafeteria. It's holding more space for students, which you may not think about, but it can impact actually the school schedule and lunch times because there's more room, more space. New locker rooms for the student athletes as well. They talked a lot about equity. So whatever the male athletes got in their locker rooms, the female athletes got as well. Now, the middle school has a new gymnasium and fine art spaces and also new security systems district-wide. School leaders say they're excited about the enhancements this will bring to the community.
Being able to do that and being able to show our community, okay, thank you for what you did. Here's what that really means. Here's what's going to change every single day for our students and how it's really going to ultimately still impact academics.
I want every family to feel like this is their school and they have access here, and we want to provide space for them to volunteer, to come ask questions, to see every part of the building and really feel good about being a part of our community.
being a part of our community. That's the big thing that these district leaders were talking about, including their branding. It's kind of difficult to see now. We'll show you when it's more daylight outside, but they went through a whole branding process, so they'll see new logos as well. But coming up in the 6 o'clock hour, I'll talk more in depth about those security and safety measures they have in place because of that bond that was passed back in 2021. Reporting live in Grandview, Ray Daniel, KSHB 41 News Today.
All right, Ray, thank you very much. Obviously, a lot more traffic on the roads this morning for this back-to-school first day for a lot of districts. Let's get to traffic anchor Deja Jones.
Yes, good morning, everybody. Happy Monday.
Deja, thank you. With inflation, back-to-school time can be very stressful financially. Still to come at 5:54, we'll see how some people are trying to ease that stress for students in Hickman Mills this morning. And at 5:45, we're going to look at the aftermath of the tropical storm and earthquake hitting Southern California over the weekend. Quick live look outside in Kansas City. The Marriott saying good morning to Casey Current this morning. It is 80 degrees, and it's not even 6 o'clock in the morning. It's actually 83, I think Jeff said earlier, downtown. A live look at your forecast coming up at 5:40. Welcome back to KSHB 41 News Today. Several local school districts have their first day of class today. Good luck to all those students. Some of the biggest ones we're following this morning: Belton Center School District has a half day today. Grandview and Harrisonville send kids back to class today as well. Kindergarten through second grade, sixth graders and freshmen have their first days of school at Hickman Mills. Independence School District and KCPS also headed back today. Once again, good luck to all those students, teachers, parents, everyone involved on those districts. Have a great first day. Some sad news to report this morning. Another homicide in Kansas City. KCPD says that a man was killed overnight near 435 and Eastwood Traffic Way. Police found him lying in a laundromat parking lot about 1:30 this morning, and that's where he died. They're still looking for a suspect. If you have any information, you're asked to call the TIPS hotline. 816-474-TIPS is the number to call. That is the only way to ensure you remain anonymous if you want to make a tip. We have a live look in Southern California this morning, hit by both Tropical Storm Hillary and a powerful earthquake overnight. You can see it's raining there in this live look we're showing you this morning. Jay Gray has details from Los Angeles.
Across Southern California, an unprecedented full-on assault from Mother Nature. The entire region under tropical storm watches and warnings for the first time ever. The effects of the storm stretching from the coast through the desert.
This is an event that hasn't happened before in terms of having a tropical storm, that kind of energy, taking a direct hit into San Diego County, so something we need to take serious.
Hillary dumping heavy rain, too much, too fast, leading to flash flooding, roads swallowed by the water.
I'm worried about some of the more rural and remote areas in the eastern part of the state, some of the more mountainous regions where people could be trapped.
Trees and power lines pushed over by gusting winds. This rock slide, a result of soil washed away by rushing waters. And in the middle of it all, a 5.1 magnitude earthquake in Ventura County. The two events, according to seismologists, not connected.
Yeah, only in Southern California could you have an earthquake and hurricane storm, and not to mention a 5,500-acre brush fire in Santa Barbara yesterday. What's next?
Most hoping for a return to California's sunshine so things can dry out and they can start to clean up the mess Hillary leaves behind. Jay Gray, NBC News.
So I'm here with meteorologist Jeff Pinner. And Jeff, obviously, our forecast here has been the hot weather, but we talked about last week the significance of that storm, and Jay mentioning as well, 80-plus years since the last time they'd had that kind of energy come into Southern California. It's not unprecedented, but very, very rare.
Well, and 84 years ago, it came in at the end of September, which the jet stream is stronger. To have it come in August, Los Angeles' average rainfall in August is 0.00. So
a lot more than that this month.
Yeah, it's had almost 2 inches of rain in the last 24 hours. And this was Hillary yesterday at this time, moving into Southern California. And it's not just Hillary. There is other moisture as well coming.
Deja, thank you. The President and First Lady traveling to Maui today to visit the region that's been ravaged by wildfire over the last couple of weeks. Scripps News congressional correspondent Stephanie Lieberg explains why it's important for presidents to take the time to visit after tragedies like this.
From wildfires and hurricanes to mass shootings and terrorist attacks, Americans have come to expect a presidential visit when disaster strikes. And a look back through history shows it's a tradition that's been building for decades.
The President and the First Lady will be traveling to Hawaii on Monday.
The purpose of a presidential visit is typically two-sided. Victims of a disaster are looking for comfort and empathy, but they also want to know what the government is doing to help.
Whether it's, a flood or an earthquake or these terrible fires that happened in Hawaii, it always involves the government. It always involves federal aid because very often the states can't handle it themselves.
The timing of a visit can make a big difference.
You can't wait too long. It looks like you don't care. You're not paying attention. But if you get in there right away, you're going to disrupt things.
President speaking at the site of tragedy goes all the way back to President Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. But as society and technology changed, so did the expectations. Communication became easier, travel became faster, and television put these moments on screen.
I think Lyndon Johnson is one of the first presidents to go to a disaster area after a hurricane, so that we now expect our presidents to do that.
Presidential visits can be turning points in an administration. Take President Bill Clinton after the Oklahoma City bombing, or President George W. Bush at Ground Zero. Disaster gives political leaders a chance to put partisanship aside.
When Superstorm Sandy ravages the East Coast, particularly the New Jersey area, what was really good for Obama and for Chris Christie, the Republican governor of New Jersey, was that the two came together.
But a misstep can haunt a presidency long after the administration is over.
Probably better not to go at all than to make a halfway measure, which is what George W. Bush did in flying over, in Air Force One, flying over the ravages of Katrina. And that haunted him for the rest of his presidency.
The impact of a presidential visit extends internationally as well. It can be good for a U.S. president or even former president to visit another country when tragedy strikes there in order to demonstrate U.S. leadership among the free world. Stephanie Liebergen, Scripps News, Washington.
To politics now. Just in the last 45 minutes, NBC News releasing a new poll on the presidential race. The polling of likely Republican caucus goers shows former President Donald Trump still with a commanding lead in the field over the GOP. He's more than 20 points ahead of his closest rival, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, followed by South Carolina Senator Tim Scott, former Vice President Mike Pence, and former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley, all tied at 6%. NBC News, the Des Moines Register, and Mediacom conducted the poll. Remember, the first presidential debate on the Republican side coming up in just a couple of days. President Trump has said he will not be attending. Nissan recalling more than 236,000 vehicles over a steering issue. The recall impacts newer model Sentra compact cars. Nissan says tie rods in the front suspension can bend and break. The issue can cause drivers to lose steering control, increasing the risk of you having a crash. If you are impacted, you'll start getting letters in the mail sometime in the next month. We've talked about now for months that the cost of basically everything is higher than we're used to it being. Many families finding back to school time especially stressful on the wallet. That includes parents in Hickman Mills. That district has a poverty rate of 20% and a child poverty rate at 36%. About 1.5 times the rate of the rest of Jackson County, according to a census report. So with that in mind, our reporter Leslie Delisbour went to Ruskin High School for a back-to-school event over the weekend. She's going to pass the mic to these folks so you can hear the voices of adults who want to provide for their students.
There's two different types of swab.
We are 3 months post-kidney transplant, so these items really helped our family in a very special way.
The Williams family and others are getting things lined up and ready for the school year.
It's always a blessing to, give than to receive, but this was definitely a blessing on receiving today.
Making sure they have a clean start with not just school supplies, but toiletries and other necessities. Janelle Lester with the Hickman Mills Empowerment Center says this event is about supporting the community.
We just wanted our kids to be able to go back to school feeling confident in themselves. We just want to see our community grow. We want to see our community empowered.
Now hoping that this event will help the Hickman Mills community unbox their full potential in more ways than one.
Through budget and finance, and even help our community with home ownership and even being entrepreneurs. This is not like the end result. This is just a vehicle to help bring sustainability in our community.
In Kansas City, Leslie Delisbour, KSHB 41 News.
And we know that as parents, you want that first day of back to school to be just picture perfect for your kiddo. Yes, you want that great moment for you, but you know you want your kids to be able to be so excited to go back to school, so we're glad that Hickman Mills is going to have that opportunity on a better case this morning. Let's talk about our back-to-school forecast, because if you're waiting outside for any bus or spending any time outside, it is already 80 degrees this morning.
It's very humid outside. There's no doubt about that. But, yeah, this afternoon, it's going to be hot and dangerously hot. A heat index back to 115 to 125, but 95 on the thermometer. Then Wednesday and Thursday, the humidity goes down, but it allows the temperature to go up. So we just need a cold front, and I think Friday and Saturday is the cold front, maybe a little rain Saturday night or Sunday. So it looks pretty good right now for the Chiefs' first home game here in the preseason. So
only home game of the preseason.
Only home game, first and only, and it looks not bad at all. So,
excellent.
Yes.
So more traffic on the roads this morning, more buses on the roads this morning. We had a ramp closure, I think, earlier today. How are we looking right now?
Yeah, right now it's pretty quiet, guys. You can see our overall wide view map is nice and clear. No major issues to talk about, so a good start to your week.
Excellent. Our back-to-school coverage continues in our next hour. We're going over how local districts are responding to bus driver shortages happening all across the area. And a look from William Chrisman High School this morning. Lindsay Shively will be there live in our next hour. The district kicking off its first year with a new 4-day school week. You're going to hear details about that coming up from the superintendent. And you want to think twice before calling customer service sometimes. Our consumer reporter tells us how fake scams are costing a lot more than a headache for some. A live look outside this morning, 80 degrees at 5:57. KSHB 41 News Today continues after the break.